truly my honest question is, do we even know what romantasy is anymore? Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. My name is Bree. This is For Pause in a Book. Today is where I will attempt to read the Goodreads Choice Awards nominees for the Romantasy category. This is the second year that Goodreads has done a Romantasy category. They separated it out last year with the explosion of Fourth Wing, and fortunately they kept it for us this year, as I am definitely in my Romantasy era. What I was not expecting was that of the 20 books that were originally selected, I had read one of them. So we were not off to a great start at the beginning of November, but I attempted, read as many as I could. As you're watching this intro, I have already read them. I have finished it. And there were some wins. There were some big wins, okay? For the second year in a row, one of the books that I read for the Goodreads Choice Awards vlog is going to end up on my best books of the year. So that's exciting. But there were also some definite duds in here as well. And there's also going to be a conversation about what romantasy even is, because this is a weird genre or subgenre, and I don't think we have a clear definition for it yet. Do I think we need a clear definition? Not necessarily, but there were some books on here that I was really questioning why they were a romantasy. Why weren't they just in fantasy? So we'll talk about that. So let's talk about the books that I will be reading in this vlog. They will be timestamped down below, and also there's not any spoilers, so even if you haven't read it, you'll still enjoy this vlog. We'll have a Quicksilver by Callie Hart. This book took book talk and the book world by storm. This is a chunker, for sure. It's the first book in a new series. It just got traditionally published. It's a fae political romantasy. I also read The Games Gods Play by Abigail Owen. This is one of Red Tower's publications, who put out Fourth Wing last year. So first off, they do some very pretty books. Let me tell you that. This is comped to adult Hunger Games meets Percy Jackson with smut. It's a Greek god retelling. It's not really a retelling. It's like after a lot of the lore of the Greek gods. There is romance, there are trials, there are competitions. It's a whole big thing. Speaking of trials, I also read Phantasma by Kaylee Smith. This has been comped to Carrie Maniscalco meets Caraval, which is a really interesting comp title, as Carrie Maniscalco I think is one of the founders of YA romantasy. She's definitely one of the pioneers there and has recently started into the adult romantasy world. And Caraval was actually one of the first fantasy series that I read when I started my booktube channel. I binged that trilogy. So seeing something comped as Caraval, while I may not have loved that book if I read it today, that has some nostalgia to it for sure. Then we have Apprentice to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mayer. This is the second book in a series. I think it might be a trilogy because I think she just came out with the title of the third one. This one started as a TikTok skit, which I think is just fascinating. She got her start on TikTok probably during COVID, and someone found her, and now she has a book deal. That's so cool. This is kind of a cozy, quirky, funky type of romantasy. So very different than some of the other ones that are on this list. However, Assistant to the Villain got second only to Fourth Wing last year, so it definitely has a following. Then we have When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. This is another political romantasy with warring kingdoms. There is a lot of religion in this, where the gods are part of the magic system. Also, there are dragons. Always a win when there are dragons. Can we talk about how adorable the dragon is? Come on. Then we have A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle L. Jensen. This book I meant to read a long time ago, okay? I'm pretty sure I had it on my Realmathon TBR, which would have been March. So, you know, I wish I would have done it then. But here we are. We're going to read it in this vlog. This is a Viking-inspired romance. It's, again, political but different, where it's not like kingdoms, but they are definitely like Viking tribes, and you know, she is the chosen one. She has this magic, and also it has kind of a forbidden romance in it, which is always fun. Next up, the heavy hitter, both in size and also in popularity, House of Flame and Shadow by Sarah J. Maas. This is the third book in the Crescent series cities. I read the first one back when it came out. I absolutely loved it. It was 2020 though, so I don't really necessarily trust my brain. And then I did read the second book to catch up because I knew that this one was going to be on here. This is a huge, vast universe. It is part of the ACOTAR world. I haven't read ACOTAR, so this might be an interesting experience. Who knows? And finally, I read Spellshop by Sarah Beth Durst. This one is a cozy romantasy, very much along the lines of Legends and Lattes type of style. It's about this woman and her sentient spider plant who have this undercover spell shop disguised as a jam shop. Listen, undercover magic, like we're a mafia front, essentially, a cozy mafia front for a magic shop. Honestly, the book sold me at Sentient Spider Plant with a very sassy personality. If you're doing the math at home, you're like, Brie, that is not 20 books and it's not even 10 books. I know. I do know. If I was way behind on a series that I wouldn't have been able to read in 3 weeks, I did not try. Things like Zodiac Academy, I don't want to read this series. I really don't. I tried to read the JLA series, but I was still 2 books behind when the finalists were announced, and I was like, I just don't think I'm gonna be able to do it. And then the Scarlet St. Clair series, I am very interested in. I just didn't want to rush through, what was it, 7 books? I didn't think that I would be able to do that. So that will be like a next year project, but I do want to read that series. All right, with that, let's get into the vlog. Hello, it's dark and cozy in here. I'm just sitting here editing a video, and I was like, you know, I haven't talked to you guys yet about Quicksilver, and so I'm gonna do that right now. I am a little over 250 pages in, middle of chapter 18, and I have very mixed feelings about this book. Here's the thing, my issues come from when I'm listening to the audiobook. Our female main character, I don't know if it's the way that she's written or the way that our narrator is reading her, but her inner monologue is not great. It's really annoying. I don't know, she almost like, she plays it off as like being this dumb kind of manic pixie dream girl, which is like something I really don't like. But then when I'm reading it physically, I don't necessarily see that, or at least like I'm able to read past it, I guess. Like there are some, like there's just some weird sentences, and I don't know if it's maybe because, I don't know, is Callie a debut author? That's the only, like that I'm struggling with. However, this relationship, the banter between our 2 main characters is phenomenal. It is so good. We're still in the part where Saras and Kingfisher, they still hate each other, right? They still cannot stand each other. They are not, they don't like each other. And I can tell like this like back and forth, the banter, everything that's happening is making it so that I know that the flip, the part where these 2 finally do get together and like there's a smut scene or whatever is gonna happen, the kiss, whatever, it is going to be, it's gonna be so worth it. It's gonna be so worth it because the buildup is just so good. And you know what, like it takes a really skilled writer to write that, to write the tension between our 2 characters. Absolutely loving that. I think this is one of those books that like objectively, like it's probably not the most well written book, like it's not the greatest literature, but these characters are just so good. They're so great. So that's where I'm sitting at. That's how I'm feeling. I'm definitely going to be continuing it tonight. I just think I might do it on my Kindle. I need to finish editing this video because it's supposed to go out tomorrow, and which means my patrons need it tonight. I was supposed to edit it today, and today just got away from me. Today has been a very busy day. So I'm going to finish editing, and then I'm going to continue reading it. And like I read 150 pages of this book last night, just like on my Kindle. So it reads so fast. And I will be going back to the audiobook when I need to. Like obviously I gotta get this book read. I got a lot of books to read in the next 3 weeks. I really thought that I would have been better about the Romantasy books that I had read, because I've read a lot of Romantasy. They're not the ones that were in the Goodreads Choice Awards, I guess. And I think a lot of that's because like this is really the first year that I'm reading Romantasy. I'm reading a lot of Romantasy. And so I think I was reading a lot of backlist. And then also there was just like a lot of confusion around what date people were going to use, because like Quicksilver is a great point, case in point for this. I didn't even, like I was assuming that it would be on here because it was like indie published. It was first published this year, but then it's getting traditionally published in December. So like there was that question, because like things like Fear the Flames, I didn't know if that would end up in here. So things like Spark of the Everflame. So I don't know. I don't know what's going, you know, I just have a lot to read in the next couple weeks, and that's okay because I'm having a good time. I don't know if we're gonna be able to keep it up, but for right now we're having a good time. I apologize for the phone clip, but I hadn't planned on talking to you until I got home tonight, but I just have to tell you, I'm at 60% of this book. We have had a smut scene, and like I was right. It is so satisfying. And like, we're not even to the point where like they're in love with each other. They are still very much just in lust with each other. And it is so fucking hot. Like, excuse my language, but it is so hot. Am I going to finish this book on audio while manning the front desk at my office today? Yes, maybe, possibly. It's fine. It's fine. I have listened to Katie Robert. I have listened to Sierra Simone while sitting at work. I can do this. I can do this. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna go have a great time. But like, are we starting out with the best book? Maybe, possibly. I love this journey for me. Hello, I finished Quicksilver. I didn't come and talk to you after whenever the last time I talked to you was. The ending of this book is absolutely insane. It is literally one of the best things I've ever read. My jaw was on the floor as I was listening to it. I was down in the basement. I was like cleaning. I was setting up like a Pango packing station because I sold a bunch of books on Pango, and I wanted like an organized way to do it. Anyways, I'm listening to the audiobook and my jaw dropped. I was like, I've never seen a Romantasy do what this book did, and I need the other book yesterday, and I know it's going to be a really long time till I get it, but this book was an immediate 5 stars. I know at the beginning I was like, oh, I don't know if this is going to work. This inner monologue is a little bit annoying, but like, I don't care. First off, like, it gets a lot better at the end. I feel like once you get past that, you know, this main character trying to prove herself, and so then like, trying to be quirky, you really fall in love with her, and like you really, really fall in love with Fisher. And he is, I mean, like all the TikToks say like, oh, Fisher's the best book boyfriend and he's one of the best, you know, male main characters in fantasy romance this year. And I was like, there's no way. There's no way. Absolutely. Absolutely. This is phenomenal. I love that 2 years in a row I am reading Goodreads Choice Awards nominees, and I'm gonna find a best book of the year. Not best book of the year, this isn't gonna be House of Pain and Blood, but it'll be in the top 10 for sure. So that's exciting. Anyways, that's all I had to come and talk to you about. Yeah, I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed. Obsessed. Ignore the no makeup and just overall messiness. It is a lazy, snowy Saturday, and I didn't feel like doing anything. I like literally not even getting off the couch. But I'm 175 pages into Phantasma, and I wanted to come in and talk to you. I started this book last night, and I think I was enjoying it. I really, really liked the OCD representation that really started like from page 1. There is discussion of like her mental state when she has this voice in her head that's like, you have 5 minutes to get home or your sister is going to die, and there's this anxiety there, and it felt so real. So I was enjoying that. As we have gotten further in, I'm bored. It's not interesting to me. I feel like the romance is happening so fast. And it's weird. I don't know if it's because of the audiobook, because it's like the guy sounds like way older than maybe he should be. I don't know. Like, cause isn't he supposed to be? It's just, I'm just not following it. I'm not loving this, which is sad because I actually had really high expectations for this one. I was really hoping that I would enjoy it, and like, it's not to the point where like I'm going to DNF it. A lot of people are really loving this book. There are people that are like reading it at the same time as me, and they are absolutely loving it. But I'm not loving it. It's like, it's fine. It's a book that exists, and I wonder if it's because like I just finished Quicksilver. I don't know how I'm going to be putting this in the like. I don't know how I'm going to be editing this together, but in terms of like actual linear timeline, I just finished Quicksilver and I loved that book. I'm kind of obsessed with that book. And so this one just feels meh afterwards. So anyway, that's my thoughts. Those are my opinions right now. I'm going to continue listening to it. I am researching authors for Romantasy Con. I got invited to be a volunteer for that convention in LA that happens in February, and so I want to make a TBR of authors that I will need to be reading before I go there, because there will be a chance where like they're not like taking preferences. I don't even know if you can hear me, it's so loud. They're not taking preferences or anything, but one of the volunteer spots will be to like actually work with the authors like at their booths if they don't have an assistant. And so you know, that will be fun if I like got a chance to work with an author, but I will want to, you know, have read their books. That's a thought. I don't know, we'll see. That's all I got right now. This book is fine. It feels 3-star-ish. I'm gonna continue listening. Audible says that I have 3.5 hours left. So I don't know that I will be able to read the whole thing today. You know, I don't have anything else to do today. I kind of want to put my Christmas decorations up, but I am so tired, and so I don't know if I want to expend the energy to do that. So that's where we're at. Last night I finished Phantasma, but I didn't get a chance to talk to you about it. I feel like I kind of stopped updating you because I didn't like it. I gave it 2.5 stars. And I feel like every time I was gonna come on, I was just gonna come on and be like, this is boring, this is uneventful, this is not written well. And I didn't want to hate on the book because I know that a lot of people have really loved it. Man, these shadows, they're not great. But anyways, I don't know, it's just, it did not work for me. I think that the romance was too hot and heavy. It was so fast, and also I just could not age gap romances. They work, but not when he sounds like he's 3,000 years old and he also acts like it. He acts like a curmudgeon old man, and it wasn't sexy at all. Here's the thing, I really appreciated the OCD wrap, and that's why it's got 2.5 stars. Ooh, but I did not like the romance. The smut felt so awkward. It did not, it was not sexy. It was not sexy. Man, this light is just not working for me. Gotta love that early morning sun. And the ending felt, I know it was trying to be romantic, but I think in the wake of the election and the wake of women's rights just being completely nixed and the fear of them being taken away, this was not romantic. This was not romantic. This was him being like, my tripod is just not wanting to work today. This was not romantic. It was not. It was him being like, yes, I will take your soul. I will live forever and you will be cursed. And that's not romantic, that's not sexy, and I know they fixed it, whatever, but I don't know, I just stopped listening at that point. So anyways, I liked the the flashbacks. I thought that was really interesting way of doing things. I liked the that aspect of it. I don't know, I just think that the concept was really good, but the execution just did not work for me. So 2.5 stars. So there's that. Obviously this is gonna go behind Quicksilver, but I at this point, is anything gonna beat Quicksilver? Really? Is anything? I don't know. We'll see. The next book that I'm going to be reading is going to be The Games Gods Play by Abigail Owen. I am not certain that this is going to make it into the top 10. However, I lose my audiobook in just a couple of days, and so it'll be before the announcement of the next round, and so I don't want to risk it. So we're just going to go ahead and read it now. I started it, I'm on chapter 7, so I read it for a little bit this morning on my way in. I don't know what it is about when it starts getting cold. We had some black ice because it's a little bit below freezing today, so I guess there was apparently some black ice on the freeway. There was a lot of crashes and they actually shut down the freeway, so I had to go on separate side roads, which, took me over an hour and a half to get to work. When it normally, if I leave when I left, it's normally 45 to 50 minutes when I go to work in the morning, and it was over an hour and a half, so twice as long as it should have taken me. But that being said, I am now late for work. Obviously I told people that I was going to be late, so I'm not worried about it. I have a premiere at 12. I'm going to be premiering my 25 in 25 announcement. If you didn't see it, I'll link it up above, but that's going to be premiering today. I made a bingo board. We have a year-long reading challenge, and I hope it does well. I was trying to build my TBR for it last night, and I feel like, even though I created it, I was like, what's a hyped book? I can't think of anything to add to this TBR. So, sorry. So sorry. My brain just did not want to brain last night. But anyway, I'm gonna go to work. I'm gonna keep reading The Games Gods Play. This is comped to Percy Jackson, but it is romantasy, where it's immortal, and I don't know. So far, she's had this little banter with Hades, which is real great. I love Greek gods, but most of my Greek god experience has been from Neon Gods and Katie Robert. So this is gonna be real different. But this has like trials and games and stuff like that. So I am hopeful. I'm hopeful. But I'm very early on, and it's an 18-hour audiobook, so we'll see how much I can get done today. Hello, you're getting a car update because I am sitting here waiting for Schmidt to get groomed. I have to take him in every couple of weeks to get his face shaved, because I don't have the capability of doing that, and if I don't keep it super short, he gets the really bad eye boogers, and it's a mess. We've spent way too much money on vet bills because of that. So we just take him every couple weeks. He goes and gets his face. It takes 15 minutes. So I'm here and I'm going to talk to you. I am 50% of the way, a little over 50% of the way through The Games Gods Play by Abigail Owen. And I don't know how I feel about this one. I don't know. First off, I don't think it's a romantasy. I don't think it belongs in this category. It is very much an action-packed adventure story. Like the two books that I'm comping it to are like The Hunger Games and Percy Jackson, which like are not romances. Like obviously like there is some smut to it. There is some like discussion of, a romance, I guess. It's weird because it's Hades and you just always feel like it's Hades and Persephone. This isn't Persephone. This is like after Persephone because she died. And so it just, I don't know, like it just feels weird, but also it feels YA. It doesn't feel like it's an adult book. It feels like it's like this action-packed adventure YA story with these competitions and games and things like that. Do I think that the games and the trials are better than they were in Phantasma? Yes, I do. Because they actually make a little bit of sense. I don't know how I feel about this one. I don't know how I feel about it being in Romantasy. I think like on its own, it is a fine book, but I just feel like it's like I've been bamboozled a little bit because I wanted some romance and like I just need some smut. And like I'm only at the 50% mark, so maybe we're going to get some, but at this point like they're not even together. I mean, he's definitely like sacrificing for her, which also like kind of feels out of character for Hades. It's like when we try to like come up with this like bad, villainous type person for our shadow daddy, but then the author wants him to be a golden retriever, and so he is, and it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. This is like really not great. The lighting, man, I tell you, I can't win here. That's my thought. I'm gonna try to finish this one. I've got Patreon sprints tonight, so I'm either gonna read that. I do have to read Hunger Games too, so I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I just thought I would come in and talk to you because it's been a bit, and I'm 50% of the way in, and I have thoughts. Not many, but I do have thoughts. Hello! I have finished The Games Gods Play. I have very mixed feelings about this book. I think that it was mismarketed 100%. This should not have been a romance. Like, if we would have made this story a fantasy, if we would have made it an adventure story, and also if we probably would have aged it down and made it YA, we probably would have had a really good book on our hands. But I was struggling from the very beginning, first off, that it's a Hades romance, right? But it's not Persephone. And while I know there's a lot of controversy about like Hades and Persephone and why should they be like the idolized romance of the Greek gods, I dipped my toe into Greek mythology romance with Katie Robert, okay? And if you have not read that Hades and Persephone, you are missing. You are missing out. They are, what are the kids saying? OTP? I don't think kids are saying that anymore. They were saying it when I was a kid. So that's like, that feels like happily ever after. And to know that this is now like after happily ever after, but he's getting a second chance, it just felt weird. And so then like he also feels so much older than her. And our main character feels so YA. She is very much about teamwork. She's very much about like trying to get all of the other recruits together and like trying to help each other out and try to, survive together. And that just, it screams middle grade or YA. And I think when you comp a romance book to Percy Jackson and Hunger Games, but also there's smut, my brain just went for a loop. So yeah, I think that this was mismarketed. It is a fantasy, and if we would have gone down that path and just had the trials and the games, and if we would have focused on that, we would have focused on the games, the trials, the contest, that kind of thing, and the politics, and not had a romance. We could have even had this like mentor-mentee relationship kind of thing without it going romantic. I think that this would have been a really solid book, but we were trying to force a romance. Romantasy is big, we have to make this romance. Like, I wonder if this book was originally written as a fantasy story, or like, YA fantasy adventure type of thing, but it's Red Tower, and so we were like, well, we gotta put a romance in here somewhere. So what if Hades had a thing for her? And it felt forced. It felt forced. So anyways, I'm giving it 3 stars. It's kind of middle of the road. It's just, it feels out of place. You know, there's always one. Because last year I felt like Starling House should have been horror and not fantasy. This, I think, should have been fantasy and not romantasy. It's fine. I feel like there's going to be probably at least one more of those that I feel like won't be really fantasy or really romantasy. But at the same time, I thought Bride by Allie Hazelwood was going to end up in the romantasy category, not the romance category. So what do I know? I'm going to get off my soapbox now. I've been ranting a lot today. I've been filming a lot of videos and all of them have been rants. So we love that for me. Hello, I'm coming to you with a very short update, but I was already here filming another clip, and so I was like, well, my light is up and I look semi-decent. Plus it's like very nice and cozy right here because I'm sitting at the tree. I thought I would come to you with bad news, and that is that I am DNFing Apprentice to the Villain. I kind of figured that this would happen, okay? Like I did not go into this book with an open mind. I'm 100% honest with you there. This is not the book for me. This is not a Brie book in the slightest. This book, I can see it has an audience, okay? I can see that, like, it's the quirkiness, it's the, like, it's funny, it's quippy, but that's not what I'm looking for in a fantasy book. It's just not, and it's definitely not something that I'm looking for in a romantasy book. I can see that the romance between the two was a little bit stronger in this book than it was in the first book. I still do not understand the romance from the first book. I mean, she called him a nincompoop. I can't get over that, okay? I can't see you as a love interest when that happens. But in this one, it's definitely more of a case of, like, you know, they are trying to protect each other. They are trying to be there for one another. And so, like, I do appreciate that. But I got to like 22% or something like that. It ended up being like 80 pages. And I was like, I couldn't tell you what's going on. Can't explain to you what is going on. I cannot tell you the plot, and nor do I care what is going on. And so, you know, like, it's not going to be a book that is going to be the one that I vote for. It's definitely not going to make the top of this list for me. And so yeah, we're gonna skip it. We're just gonna DNF it, and that's okay. Okay, there's a lot of good books on this list. It's okay that I didn't love this one. But anyway, that's my update. I am going to move on to the next one. You know, without fail, every time I try to do a Goodreads video, I get sick, okay? 2022 was the year of me having to read Colleen Hoover while having COVID. Like, that was a bad time. And now it is probably RSV. I'm not sure, but like, that's, the signs are pointing to that. While trying to read When the Moon Hatched. And here's the thing, I'm 60% of the way through. I have been working on this the entirety of Thanksgiving weekend. I just haven't talked to you because this is the best I've sounded in 4 days. So that's really fun. I started getting sick Thursday night. Like, I went to Thanksgiving, we had like Thanksgiving lunch, and I went there, and like, as the night was going on, I was like starting to feel not great. I woke up Friday, just completely wiped. I have slept on my couch pretty much the entire weekend. Which is great. It's Monday now. I tried to go to work today. It didn't work. So I'm back home, and I'm gonna continue listening to this. And I think that, so I'm 60% of the way through, and I don't know if we can blame it on the cough syrup, the copious amounts of cough syrup that I have been taking, or the book itself. I can see why people love this book. I can see that, like, people that love Strange the Dreamer are gonna love this book. For me, I am like losing the, what is it? What's the, like, saying? I've lost the forest for the trees or something like that. Lost the trees for the forest. I've lost the forest for the trees. Yeah. I've lost the plot because the author is trying so hard to describe things. We have described literal blades of grass. We have described the way that this person spoke and how it made her feel. It's gorgeous, it's beautiful, and I think if it was paired with a really strong plot and a really strong character dynamic, then I would not be upset. But because the first thing I'm noticing is the prose, I'm losing the plot. I'm losing the plot. So if you are a beautiful writing, like over descriptive kind of person, this is gonna work for you. And I can see why this book has done phenomenal in marketing right now. And this is to the point where, like, I'm not hating this book. It's sitting middle of the road right now. And I think if we can get into the meat of the story and actually figure out what the fuck is going on, I would be into it. This is one, like, when I finish, I'm gonna have to go and find an in-depth spoiler review for somebody who's smarter than I am and was not on cough syrup when they were reading it to explain what happened. It's not a series that I don't think, like, I think I will probably continue this series. I think I will probably continue, like, with the sequel that comes out next year, but it's definitely not blowing me away like I was hoping it would. But it is. I mean, it's a stunning work of art, but it's one of those, like, abstract paintings where you're like, I think I see the vision here. I think I see the what is the artist is trying to convey, but it's very jumbled because it's just so pretty. But I did want to come in and talk to you. Like I said, I'm 60% of the way through. Like, it's going. I've read 426 pages and I still have a lot to go. I just wanted to, like, touch base with you and talk to you at least some point, but I also couldn't do it this weekend because I legitimately had no voice. I am going to rest. I am going to chill and turn on this audiobook and crochet and try to get some more read. So I'll come back to you when I have some more thoughts. If I have more thoughts, I don't know. Okay, the finalists came out last night, and so let's chat. Let's talk about, first off, let's talk about my predictions, but then let's talk about the actual finalist. Now, I will say, I was pretty spot on, okay? I got 2 wrong, and I'm calling that a win. So I made a spreadsheet where I broke these down into high, medium, and low confidence as far as what I knew would make the top 10. And that way I kind of had my order of how I was going to read. So I had 5 books that I was very confident would make the top 10. So House of Flame and Shadow by Sarah J. Maas. Obviously, When the Moon Hatched by Sarah I. Parker, I feel like has gotten so many special editions, and it really took especially Book Talk by storm. So I had a lot of confidence with that one. Apprentice to the Villain, listen, we can discuss how, like, objectively it should have been in there, whatever. Assistant to the Villain did so well last year, like getting second right behind Fourth Wing. I don't know, it has a cult-like following. I have high confidence in that. Born in Flood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This one I feel like is probably, like, the least of my high confidence, just because it is book 4 of the prequel series, so, like, it's very far in. But it's JLA, and I like, her followers are still going to come and vote. And then Quicksilver by Kelly Hart. This one is one that I feel like is just, like, getting a resurgence. Everyone loves this book. I cannot go anywhere without seeing this, so I'm pretty confident. Then we have our medium confidence. So I have 3 books in this one, and I feel like just based on the followings, I'm, like, pretty sure that they're going to be there. So A Fadington Blood and Phantasma both were Book of the Month picks, and so that's why I feel like those will be in there, because if you're a Book of the Month pick, then, like, outside of the Bookternet is noticing you. And then Zodiac Academy, the reason I am not confident is just because it's book 9, but book 8 made the top 10 last year, so, like, I'm pretty confident. I'm not reading it, just so you know. And then I have 4 books in the low confidence. Now, if you're doing the math at home, you're like, that's 12 books. Gold by Raven Kennedy, I feel like she has, again, like, kind of a cult following, but her previous books did not make the top 10. Games God's Play is a Red Tower book, and so that one, like, potentially has the ability to, but it is kind of a newer book. I don't know. And then the Spellshop is the other, like, cozy option. And so if people vote for one of the cozies instead of Apprentice to the Villain for the first round, then I think Spellshop could get in. And then A Touch of Chaos by Scarlett St. Clair. I think hers made, like, 11th last year, so I don't know. I'm not confident. Here's what I'm putting as the 2 to like round out the top 10. And obviously by the time you're watching this video, you know what made the top 10, and it wasn't those 2. So those ones were the ones that I was wrong about. I got everything else right, okay? So I'm still calling it a win. The Spellshop and Touch of Chaos were the 2 that rounded it out. And on my, like, I tried to to space out the top 20, and maybe when the finalists come out, I will look and see what I think 1 through 20 was versus what actually 1 through 20 was. But I had the Spellshop and Touch of Chaos as 11 and 12, and Gold and the Games Gods Play as 9 and 10, and they likely were flipped. I don't know, we'll see when the finalists come out. Anyways, I have a lot of books to read. You probably already know this from the intro, but the likelihood of me reading the Scarlet St. Clair series is pretty low, just because I think that's book 7, and I know that you don't have to read every single one. It's like every other book you can read. I really like Scarlet St. Clair. I read her Kingdom of Battle and Blood series last month and really liked it, and so I kind of do want to read this series as a whole, so I probably will not read it for this video. But anyway, let's get to reading. Hello, I apologize for a phone clip again. I didn't bring my camera, and it is what it is. It's Friday. I am helping to decorate our office today, so I decided I was going to be festive. But I also have a meeting in the morning, so I got to do the blazer. I am a little over 50% of the way through A Fate Inked in Blood, and I forgot to talk to you. So I'm going to do that now. I'm actually really liking this book. I am very much enjoying this. This book started out so fast. We jumped right into the action like immediately. It was so quick. It was very action-packed at the very beginning, and there were a lot of stakes, and so you immediately were thrown into the conflict of the book, and you somehow she was still able to give a lot of depth and emotion to our main character, and you immediately felt for her in this like terrible situation that she was in, even though you had no idea what was going on. Like, you had no idea who this character was. And I think that's the skill of an author, to be able to convey that emotion and depth so quickly that the reader immediately is drawn into the story, but also is drawn into actually wanting the character to be okay. And I think I've said this before. I can't remember if it was in this vlog or in previous Romantasy vlogs. I don't know. I've read so much Romantasy at this point. But I love a good, strong main character. I love a female who doesn't need the man, but like lets him in. Our main character, okay, she might actually need him. I don't that's debatable. But she is strong, and she knows she's strong. She knows that she has magic, and she is actually affecting politics around. Like, her existence is affecting men. And we love that energy. We do. We love that energy. Yeah, I'm enjoying her. I love her. Honestly. So anyway, that's my update for you right now. I also love just the Norse inspiration behind it. We have a lot of discussion of Odin and the Norse gods and things like that, which is cool. And like it makes a joke about like how many gods there are, and I well, it's kind of funny because there are a lot of gods in that mythology and religion. And I do think that this is definitely falling along the lines of a fantasy first Romantasy. And as I've gone through this like journey of Romantasy this year, I have found that is definitely the side of Romantasy that I prefer. I want the romance to be there, right? But I want there to be an external conflict. Like, if I'm gonna read a book about the relationship being the conflict, I'm gonna read contemporary romance. So I want the romance to be the thing that is maybe like affecting the world. And I think that's why like the political romantasies really work for me, because it's usually like, opposites attract. And by opposites, I don't mean like opposite personalities. I mean opposite, opposite sides of the kingdoms, or, whatever it is. Like there's usually like a political aspect to it. And that's generally what I'm finding. And I think that's also why I'm loving Romantasy duologies, because the second book is usually like them fighting the world together. And I think that, I'm learning things about myself in this year of Romantasy, and I love that for me. So anyways, I am very late for work. I got up way too late. Somehow I turned my alarm off instead of hitting snooze. Don't know how that happened, but I need to go to work. It's fine. It's Friday. So anyway, I have a lot of reading to do. I think I have about 3 hours left of this on my listening speed. I have had to slow it down a little bit. And I think that's probably my only complaint. It's okay. It's not a complaint in the fact that, like, the audiobook is well produced. The narrator has a like a Scandinavian accent, and it's very much like leaning into the vibe of the book. My complaint is that I have to slow it down and I have too much to read. But that's a me problem, definitely not a book problem. That's my only thing. I do wish, though, that's like, okay, this is an actual critique of the book. I do want another POV. Having only one POV is, it feels narrow. And maybe in the second book we'll get a second POV, perhaps? I don't know. That's my my 2 cents on the matter. Anyways, I'm gonna go before the sun decides to blind me. The inversion is so bad this week. So bad that as I was driving over the point of the mountain into the valley where the office is, I swear to God, it looked like Mars, because like the sun was coming up and then we have this like smog, fog, icky stuff, and it's just brown. It's gross. I have finished A Fate Inked in Blood, and I am giving it 4 stars. I actually had a really good time with this. I'm coming on here acting like I'm all surprised on it, but I don't think that there was anything at any point where I was like, oh, I don't know, I'm bored of this book. It did take me a lot longer to read than I probably would have liked. Like, it doesn't feel like it's a very big book, but it is over 400 pages, and it, like, I don't know, it just ended up being a busier week than I had expected. I didn't have as much audiobook listening time. I very much enjoyed this. The tension between the two, listen, I will always be a sucker for a like a forbidden romance. Okay, always. And while this is messy, the romance is so messy, she's such a badass. It's very similar to what I was reading, what is it, Fire and Flesh? Is that the prequel series that JLA has? Yes. She also, super badass character, and I love her. And so this is kind of giving me that same vibes. Obviously a very different story, very different characters, but they are just, like, they're just take no shit characters. And I love that. Here's the thing, I'm finding things out about myself and my reading with this romantasy journey that I am on, and I'm loving it. So definitely one that I'm going to be continuing on with. I'll be picking up the sequel next year when it comes out. I need to check the date because I don't remember when it comes out. It has a really cool cover right here. And I'm hoping that it will have also the really pretty sprayed editions. All right, so that's my update. I've decided that I'm actually probably not going to read the JLA books because I don't have time, because I still will need to read 2 of them. I am not done with Fire in the Flesh yet. I would love to get it done by the end of the year, but it's just not going to happen for this vlog. And so I still need to read House of Flame and Shadow, which I have started. I'm on chapter 5 right now. So not very far into it. I believe it's like 60 or 70 pages. That one is interesting. Let's just chat about that. This is a funny story because I didn't read Akatar. I DNF'd Akatar actually, and I don't want to go back and read it. Definitely not before this. In this book, they interconnect. We have Rhysand, we have Nesta, like we have brought up these other characters. And so they have become an interconnected series, I guess, at this point. And I don't know who these people are. I mean, I know who they are in terms of, you know, TikToks that I have seen, but I don't know who they are in terms of like actual characteristics of them, and that's fine. Okay, we're just gonna go with it. But anyways, I read Earth and Blood when it first came out. I remember like pre-ordering it. I got it right away and read it within the first couple of weeks, and I gave it 5 stars. Granted, I did not read a lot of romantasy back then, and honestly, like now that I have read so much more romantasy, I don't even know that this is romantasy. I mean, it is, but it's not comparatively to some of the other things that I have read, even just for this video. I did not end up reading the sequel. They're big books. Okay, so Sky and Breath, I'd put off. I read it last month because I knew I was going to have to. And so I didn't love it. I gave it like 2.5 stars, something like that. And I don't know. I'm just reading a lot better romantasy than this. This is a good foundation, but it is nothing compared to things like House of Fate and Blood or Quicksilver. They're so much better. I'm not going into Flame and Shadow with like great expectations, high expectations. Well, we'll see what happens. I do have the audiobook. I have the ebook for it. I don't own it physically because I own the like paperback Barnes & Noble editions of the first two, and so I'm waiting. If I decide I want to keep the series, I'm gonna wait and try to get a matching one when the paperback versions of Flame and Shadow come out. And that's my update. So I still need to read that, and then I still need to read Spellshop, which I think will be a very quick read, because it's like cozy. I actually have really high expectations for this, or like higher than original, because I've just heard some really good things. A lot of people have read this book, and like just in the past couple of weeks, and I don't know, I feel like I'm gonna like it. So that's what we're gonna end with. We'll start with a good one and hopefully end with a good one too. Nothing has beat Quicksilver yet. It's definitely still at the top of the list, but you know, a win for A Fading to Blood, for sure. I am trying to use my normal tripod on the floor of my car. I don't know that this is going to work, but we're going to try it. Just like trying not to move so that it doesn't shake. Anyways, I meant to update you when I finished part 1 of House of Flame and Shadow, but I actually ended up reading a ton of it last night, and I'm at 58%. So I'm actually almost done with part 2. And surprise of the whole video, I'm not hating it. So that's good. I was scared of this one because I did not watch any of the reviews when this book came out, because like I wasn't caught up on the series, and so I know that it's generally not a liked book. I know people were very disappointed in it as far as like the series progression, but I don't hate it. What I don't think this is a romantasy. It's more fantasy than romantasy. The cast of characters is huge. Like Bryce and Hunt, while are the main characters and started out as the main characters in the beginning of the series, are like such a part of an ensemble at this point, and there's so many different people, and so it is hard to kind of like remember the importance of some of the characters. But I am enjoying this like underworld setting. We're like kind of in hell ish. We have necromancers that are you know, a part of this now, and so like I'm enjoying that part of it. The House of Flame and Shadow is just interesting. I think if we talk about this book critically, like we can definitely tear it apart, because there are things like the fact that it's an 800 and something page book, but yet I'm not quite understanding what's going on. I think the plot is a little bit convoluted. It's definitely like big world. We have a lot going on as far as like the politics of this like almost war that is happening with these different you know, the different groups of people. And so like I am a little bit lost. I feel like a little bit like, you know, walking through mud kind of thing. Like I don't know, I'm still having a good time. So like I'm good with that. I'm fine with that. I'm reading it very fast. Like I said, I read probably like 20% of this book last night, and that's a lot for an 800-page book. But you know, the football game was boring last night, and so I was just reading, which was great. So my goal is to finish this today. I do have a lot of work to do, but it says I have like 4.5 hours left at my listening speed. So theoretically, I should be able to finish that. However, I have been saying that for like 2 days now. But yeah, I need to finish this because I've already pushed this video back once and I don't want to do it again. That's my update. I need to go to work. But I'll talk to you later. I have finished House of Flame and Shadow. I didn't hate the book. I did not hate it. I'm giving it 3.5 stars. And I actually think that I like some of the side characters more than I like Bryce and Hunt. I don't know. I just feel like some of the characters had more character development. Looking at you, Rune and Lydia, man, they're a little dynamic. Love that. So I think I'm gonna give it 3.5 stars. I am like pleasantly surprised by this, and I'm excited. And I think, okay, here's the thing. The people that did not like this book, they didn't like it because it's not a romantasy. This book should not have been in romantasy. It definitely shouldn't have won the romantasy category. It's a fantasy. It is definitely an urban fantasy that has some romantic subplots in it and some smut in it, and I don't think that publishing, and especially Goodreads, has figured out what romantasy is yet. And so there's this really big blurred line, and we're like, well, there's romance in it, so it's a romantasy, but that's not it. And I've always talked about the fact that like I like the romantasies that have a lot of plot and this really good balance, and sometimes we lean too far into the romance, and so all we're doing is like having smexy time, which is great, fine, love that, but we do need some like plot and world building. It's almost like too far to the side of fantasy, because we have this huge overarching plot with these politics. You know, there's a lot that's happening outside of the relationships. And if you took the romance out of this book, it's still a pretty decent story. That's like my little like rant, my little soapbox of like, this shouldn't have been in the romantasy category. But I also know that had it won the fantasy category, the fantasy bros would have been all pissed off that Sarah J. Maas won again. I don't know what to say here. This has probably been the biggest surprise of the video so far, especially after not loving House of Sky and Breath. But anyways, those are my final thoughts on House of Flame and Shadow. That was like the biggest mountain to get over. I have one more book that I'm going to read for this challenge. It's not all 10. I did not get to all 10 of them. You know, it happens. There were just a lot of series that I, you know, was behind on, and that's okay. But we are going to try to read one more book. I've already started at about 50 pages in, so not very far. But that's The Spellshop by Sarah Beth Durst. I am worried about this one only because it is very cozy. It's been like comped to Legends and Lattes, which I enjoyed, but I didn't love. Cozy tends to be a little bit like too low of stakes for me, but I've heard that this one is pretty good, that it has some stakes to it, and it has some, you know, like a little bit more than just a cozy trying to make coffee and sell at a bookstore kind of thing. I am very intrigued by the sentient spider plant and why it's a sentient spider plant, and you know, is sassy. It's a sassy spider plant. We like that. But yeah, I'm only 50 pages in, so I'm going to be continuing to read this today, and I will touch base with you when I know a little bit more. I did it. I finished The Spellshop. I finished the books that I'm reading for this vlog. Was it all 10? No, that's fine. It's fine. Next year we will be a little bit more proactive. Next year I am not doing a whole category. That's not happening. Okay, I've done it 3 years in a row. We're doing something different next year. I just filmed my goals video this morning, and 2025 is gonna look a little different, and I'm very excited for it. So, but that being said, I have now done 3 years of Goodreads. I've done 3 different categories. And here we are at the end of the Romantasy challenge. Let's just say I was a little bit better about reading all of the finalists in previous years. I finished The Spellshop. I'm giving this 3 stars. It did turn into a romantasy. There was a romance in this. It was cute. It was cozy. It's not really what I want. If you liked Legends and Lattes, this is the book for you, because it has a lot of these sassy characters. It has a lot of the like quirkiness of Legends and Lattes, or even more so, Arrival Most Vile. It has a lot of that like slow moments of Arrival Most Vile, which was one of the Spiffbo books that I read. I'll leave that vlog up above if you want to watch that. This is very similar to that. Okay, it had me at the sentient spider plant. That was my favorite character. I think that the book could have existed without the romance. Like, right? We could have just had Kalia being this badass witch that's basically running a mafia for spells under the front of a jam shop. And I think this book did exactly what it tried to do, right? Which is why I'm not faulting it. It's a 3-star book for me because I didn't necessarily enjoy it. It's not a Brie book, but objectively, it is a good book, okay? If you like that style of book, this is going to work for you. It's just not my style of book. There's a lot of complex and almost high stakes things that are happening in here, but because we were trying to keep it cozy, we kept everything very small, right? So it was very much just what is impacting our character, whereas we could have had a huge epic scale. It wouldn't have been a cozy anymore. So like I said, this book did what it was supposed to do. It did what it was trying to do. Personally though, I was like, why is it that the magic is illegal? Why is it like, I wanted more. I wanted backstory. I wanted, how is this affecting the greater world, not just our little cast of characters. 3 stars. But if you like that, this could very, very, very easily be a favorite for you, for sure. With that, let's just like have a little wrap up, a little chat. We had some wins in this, okay? Quicksilver is a book that was definitely on my TBR. I definitely wanted to read it, but it wasn't something that I was putting at like the top of my priority list. And had it not been in the Goodreads Choice Awards, I probably wouldn't have read it this year. And this will end up in my best books of 2024, without a doubt. The ending, the last 10% of this book is screaming, crying, throwing up, okay? I loved this. And it doesn't hurt that there's like a massive butterfly on the back. So, That's a win. House of Flame and Shadow actually was a pretty big surprise, especially after I didn't love House of Sky and Breath and after it had been so long after even starting the series. So that was a win. There were some definite disappointments for sure. Phantasma I really wanted to like. I think the idea of that book, I really wanted to like it. And I liked the ending of it. I liked parts of it, but the things that the author tried to focus on were things that I didn't care about necessarily, and so that's why it was a miss for me. I would be tempted though to continue that series kind of as I sit back and think on it. I don't know what I said when I finished the book, if I would or not. If the reviews for it, specifically in the writing style for the second book, were good, I would be tempted. I could be convinced to continue the series. Romantasy is very big on series, so let's talk about the books that I will continue, the series that I will continue. Phantasma is a maybe. Assistant to the Villain, unfortunately, is a no. I know it has a wonderful following and people love this book. Again, it's just not a Bree book. This one I know has a companion. I'm not gonna read it. It's, again, not a Bree book. This one, I will sell my kidney for the sequel to this book, okay? Just in case anybody cared or needed to know. I've already pre-ordered the second one for this because I want the pretty sprayed editions. I could be convinced to read the sequel to When the Moon Hatched. I don't know that I will do it right away, but I could be convinced. It would probably be one that I would have to immersion read and maybe reread this book just to kind of re-immerse myself. I blame the cough medicine for not knowing what was going on in that book. I don't think I'll continue this one. I don't. I think that this one was too YA for me, and I don't think I will continue it. Crescent City, I'm not sure I will continue just because it's so intertwined with ACOTAR and I DNF'd that series, so I don't know that, like, I don't know, I feel like I would be lost at this point. But anyways, I think we learned some good lessons here, and I want to read something that is not fantasy romance for a little bit. Let me know down in the comments below if you've read any of these books, what you thought, and let me know if you voted in the Romantasy category, what you voted for. Mine was definitely Quicksilver. If you want to see the previous iterations of the Goodreads Choice Awards vlogs that I have done in past years, I will leave the romance one that I did for 2022 right here, and the fantasy one that I did in 2023 right here. That is all I have for you today. If you are new here and you have not yet subscribed, there's a little button that you can do so down below the video. If you'd like to hang out with me more, the links to my Instagram, Goodreads, Twitter, and my Patreon are linked in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!